everyone. I'm here with Gregg Cacioppo from City SC Carlsbad. Hey, Greg, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on here today to speak with us about everything that you do. We're super excited to connect with coaches like you.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Okay, Greg. So tell me a little bit about yourself, your coaching background, and of course about City SC Carlsbad. We're excited to hear.
I've been coaching now for the better part of 10 years in North County, San Diego.
Wow.
So right now, I am our director of recreation at City SC Carlsbad. I also am a head of player development for our youngest girls in our program. So I spend a lot of my time with the youngest of our players to get them ready for our academy level programming. I'm also a varsity high school coach at Escondido High School, and I'm an assistant coach at the University of St. Catharines. So I'm all over the map.
Wow, you're everywhere.
I
Wow.
am, yeah.
Busy man. Excellent. So is coaching your full-time position?
It is, yeah. So I'm lucky enough that I am living my dream life, I guess, so I'm able to do everything. All my income comes from coaching. So yeah, I'm very lucky.
Wow. Right. It's a privilege. I myself am a full-time coach, and so I'm right there with you. It is the dream, that's for sure. So let's go ahead and go into what is the recruiting process for City SC Carlsbad? What are some things that you as a coach and as the organization, how do you guys follow that protocol? How do you find players? How do you find these great players for your team?
I mean, it's a great point. So we're lucky enough at our club that we do have a large recreation program. So which is the program that I run. So we do pride ourselves on being a club that is development based. So we do pool and use and leverage that rec program. So our rec program has about 2,500 players in that program. So those looking to make the jump to the competitive teams can do so, especially on the younger side. So that is probably our best tool for recruitment. It gets a little bit different on the older side, and for our higher level academy teams, where I would say that our biggest recruiters are probably our coaches, and just how they coach and their philosophy on coaching kind of speaks for itself, and that kind of attracts new players. But to my knowledge, that's probably the best way that they actually go about their recruiting.
Okay, and what are some of the ways that they do that? I mean, are those coaches creating graphics for the organization? Is that something that the organization does? Do they supply the coaches with, sort of graphic design? Do they use social media? Are they out there poaching, so to speak?
If I'm being honest, it's probably a little bit of everything. Our
Yeah.
club, we're lucky enough, we have an amazing media team.
Mhm.
Something that we do, we invest in our social media. So we do pump out social media graphics, and we use
Yeah.
that. But our like I said, our coaches, I mean, I wouldn't want to call poaching, right? But like they are always actively looking for talented players to help grow and our academy level teams, and so that's what they're looking to do. We want hardworking players in our program, and we want to coach those players.
Wow. Well, it seems like, a lot of coaches are in that position. When we say we're recruiting, I like to think of it as a situation where we're always recruiting. It's not just seasonal necessarily. We always have our eye out, wanting to have that great player that comes in and can help change our program. So, with the idea that we're always recruiting, we're always looking for players, how do you think a coach can benefit from the Sports Bridge platform?
I think, for one, as you mentioned before, you're highlighting them as a coach with your
Mhm.
platform, which is fantastic. So, every coach has their own philosophy, their own style, their own charisma, really, and how they portray themselves on the field. And players thrive and in different circumstances, right? And with different styles of coaching. So for them, they're able to find those players who can see their style right away and know that they'd be a good fit. So I think it's a fantastic way to connect those looking maybe for a high level team, a new team, or really any or all of the above.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. We're really excited to help give those coaches that exposure. Social media is fantastic, and it's great for networking and connecting with, with other coaches and with parents. But, there is an easier solution to bringing those two parties together and staying off of social media. And, not that we want to limit how a coach recruits, but we want to come in as a tool, and so we're excited to help parents and coaches alike. How do you think that parents can struggle with the recruiting process? Have you heard any parents give you feedback about, the complications or maybe the struggle or how they went about finding a team? What is your experience with that?
I constantly get the question, is my son or daughter ready for the competitive world of soccer?
Wow,
And
that's a
so
great question.
yeah, so I get it all the time. And I do my best to be like, oh, we'll find out their age group, what levels will be at, and then try and help them best I can. But for a parent to have the opportunity to go into a platform like this and kind of do their own research and due diligence, to find out if it's a good culture fit, if it's, if they think that their son or daughter is going to thrive in that environment. And ultimately, I think all of us as a soccer community want our sport to grow and our kids to play as long as they possibly can. Right? We want to avoid burnout. We want to make sure that they're enjoying it, because at the end of the day, it's a game, right? It's a game. It should be a fun thing for them to do, and then ultimately develop. And they're only going to do that if they're in the right situation. So as a parent, kind of giving them the power to kind of do their own homework and find out without having to ask all the hard questions necessarily to someone like myself or to anyone else.
Recruiting players for your team is challenging. We all know the tedious process of creating recruiting flyers, hoping for exposure, and back and forth conversations with parents. The long, frustrating list goes on. SportsBridge was built by coaches for coaches. We simplify the recruiting process. List your team details, post your recruitment listing, and watch the tryout requests roll in. Spend less time recruiting and more time with your team. SportsBridge. Stop searching, start playing.
Right. No, you make a great point. I think it's just going to put the recruiting, it takes it out of the club hands or the organization, and it just puts it in the right spot. We're here for parents, as coaches, and I love to give parents that responsibility back. What is right for your child? And so that's what's so great about SportsBridge is we give parents the ability to filter and find what works for them, what works for their child, more importantly. So we're excited to bring that. I think we get so caught up as coaches thinking about the struggles of recruiting as a coach that we forget that it can be hard for a parent to find what they need. And so that's something that we're here to help solve. We're problem solvers. Coaches are problem solvers, and I know you know that best. How do you see the ability of a coach being able to put high quality photos or high quality video out there for a parent to see? How do you think that's going to benefit the parent on their search process?
I mean, I think we're already seeing it right now with social media platforms. I know, for example, myself, I use social media platforms to highlight my rec program and also highlight my youngest teams, my high school teams, my college team, basically show who I am as a coach. You want to kind of create that personal environment, and your kind of personal philosophy on coaching, and out there. So having a platform that's 1000% dedicated to it, where you can kind of whether you put a coaching session on there, you put a parent review on there, whatever you want to put, I think that will speak volumes. And I think it'll be such a useful tool for coaches who maybe don't necessarily feel as comfortable putting their their stuff out on a social media platform, where they want it to be strictly a platform for them as a coach, where they can kind of have their side life, or we call it their civilian life,
Exactly.
but yeah, somewhere different, having a strict coaching profile would be fantastic and a great tool for a lot of coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. We couldn't agree more. I know for me and my experience, COVID was really, really hard for me to try and find different players to join my team. One of my teams actually fell apart through COVID because we just couldn't find those players during that time. And it was a struggle. And I needed something like SportsBridge out there to where I can tell, parents of the age group that I coach, hey, I'm here, I'm here, I'm a great coach. Look at what I do. And so, that's just how I knew that this is something that we could really use to help coaches and to help parents. There's nothing like it out there. There's a lot of directories out there, but we're not a directory. We don't want to give necessarily a parent like, hey, here is the club. We want to give parent, hey, here's the coach that coaches for the club. So we're really excited to bring that to parents. So the last question that I want to ask Gregg, why do you think a parent might want to search and filter a specific gender as a coach's gender, right? Do you think a parent might want only a female coach or maybe only a male coach? Where do you see that falling into, SportsBridge and a parent's journey?
Well, I think it's the shift in coaching in general, and like this is coming from a man who coaches on the female side predominantly. Like, I don't know how that happened. It just did. Like, I ended up coaching, I started with the U19 boys team, and then my next year I got a U10 girls, and then the rest has been history. And I've been on the female side ever since. So something I really enjoy. My style fits really well with coaching females. But I think for our club in general, I know that this speaks for City SC Carlsbad. We have made a huge influx in hiring female coaches for that very reason. I think it's important for our youngest girls to see female coaches and to see females in leadership positions. And we just got done. I mean, I'll give a shout out to Coach Courtney at our club. She's now, one of the academy director at our club, and it's like, so we think it's super important. And I think it's super important. I always say this, it's like, I feel like it's like if I had a catchphrase, this would be it. I was raised by a strong woman. I was married a strong woman. Now I have a little baby girl. So it's like I was meant to be like in that world and in that space. But as a parent, I think it's, I mean, what your daughter wants and thrives. And I've had parents tell me that they can't wait to have their daughter be coached by one of our female coaches, because of that reason, seeing a female coach in a leadership position. And it could go the other way too, right? It could be, you want your daughter being coached by a man, you want your son being coached by a female. Like, I think that would be an amazing thing. There's a couple coaches I know of who are females who coach on the younger boys side, and I think that's fantastic. I think what a cool way to have your son, like immersed in this world of like, hey, like this is like, it's 2021, man, like
get on board.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's great. I think it's a great tool. And that's just how the world's evolving, and I'm proud to be a part of a club that does that. I want to say we have like 15 or 20 female coaches on staff right now, which is like crazy,
Wow. I love that. Congratulations, on your baby. That's so exciting. Wow.
Yes, it is.
So you're going to be a parent someday using SportsBridge. That's the reality of it. You're going to come full circle someday.
Sooner rather than later, probably, right? So.
Right. Well, an excellent conversation. Thank you so much, Gregg, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. It's coaches like you and parents like you, that are going to help make SportsBridge such a great community and a great resource to everyone involved. So thank you so much.